Hey everybody, welcome to another Fireside Chat with Baz and Shriggs. We're going to be talking about the stress test a little bit, which just happened yesterday, right Shriggs?
Yes, I
It
did.
just happened yesterday, yeah. And we both tried the Necromancer in structured PvP, and I also want to clarify something. It was brought to my attention, let me pull up the name here, I'm totally unprepared like I am usually. It was brought to my attention by a viewer that we had some misinformation in there. Of course, YouTube is not cooperating with me. Shriggs, what was your overall experience of the stress test on Wednesday yesterday?
I really enjoyed it. It was kind of short, but I had other things I needed to do that day, so it kind of worked out. And I really enjoyed my time with the Necromancer. It's going to be something I look into when the game launches on August motherfucking 28th.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. That is my birthday, which is awesome. Keep talking.
So yeah, I devoted my time to trying every single weapon with the Necromancer. However, I didn't find myself using the minions that much. I kind of just my playstyle is where I'm the main damage healer. I don't like relying on pets or anything.
Right.
So that's where I'm from. Baz, how did you fare with the minions?
Minions. I guess we can kind of jump into the whole discussion here.
Hmm.
They weren't terrible, but they definitely were not like they were in Guild Wars 1, where it was just a lot different. And of course, it's not on that video. Bloody stupid.
What are you looking for?
There was someone actually corrected me on something, and I want to give them a shout out. Okay. It was on my channel. I'm sorry. I was looking on the Azure portal, but it was not. So, okay. So the person that pointed this out to me was Skyan. I think that's Skyan PvP. I think that's how you pronounce his name. But he pointed this out that structured PvP is 8 versus 8 if it's not tournament. It can be up to 8 versus 8, which is something that I said was only 5 versus 5. So thank you for correcting me on that. I appreciate it. Anyway, let's jump right into the topics. We already
Oh,
started.
one other thing
Yeah.
that you may be wrong about. We were trying to do it together in a group.
Mhm.
We couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But I think the way you're supposed to do it is find a server, and then everyone try to jump into the server together.
Yeah, and I also noticed that there was a feature on the party avatars that you could right click and select join friends
Oh yeah,
PvP.
that. I know about
So
that.
that was pretty cool, but
That's super dumb. That was in the last beta event weekend. We should have been able to figure that out.
well, I didn't know that was there until the stress test yesterday. So anyway, kind of going a little bit off of order of the topics we have here, but the topics we have here, we're going to discuss what we thought of the class. We're going to discuss what kind of specs we tried. We're going to go over how we feel that it's stacked up against other classes. We're going to cover minions a little bit more, and then we're going to go into final thoughts. Now, keep in mind, this is only a 4-hour length of time, so it's not like we're experts, but it's just kind of a rough feel as to how we kind of thought the Necromancer does in PvP, structured PvP that is, not tournament-based PvP. So let's continue on with the minions. The minions, like I said, not a lot different than they were in Guild Wars 1. I I'm not the biggest Guild Wars 1, knowledge base, but from my memory, I feel that they were a little bit more useful in Guild Wars 1 than they are Guild Wars 2. The whole term Minion Master really doesn't apply in Guild Wars 2. I think they're just kind of there to assist, debuff, and buff you or debuff your actual target. Shriggs, did you find that to be evident at all?
Yeah, that's what I found using them most of the time. Most of the time, I would just send them in and blow them up right away
Yeah.
and do some heavy damage.
Yeah, the minion heal kind of just did not seem very useful whatsoever.
It did not.
It's just it wasn't a lot, and unfortunately, most of the other classes had like a 15-second cooldown with one of their heals. Like one of the 3 heals had like a 15-second cooldown. Necromancer had his lowest was 20, which was kind of annoying. because an extra 5 seconds in PvP is going to be kind of huge. But that's okay. I mean, you win some, you lose some. I guess we could just be playing the class wrong, which is probably the case. But that's okay. The next kind of thing I want to go over just real quick here. Let me pull up the skills of the Necromancer. I want to get into where are all their minions at. Come here. The elite minion, the summon flesh golem, that I found really to be useful. It has a charge ability and it has the crippling claws. I use that a lot, and that seemed like one of the more useful minions out of the pack, if you were. The shadow was pretty useful. The blind ability was really nice. The summon flesh, which was a flesh wyvern or worm, however you want to pronounce that. It just kind of attacks foes, so I guess it's an extra DPS. The 2 bone minions didn't attack, which I thought was really weird. They're just there to explode, which was okay, I guess. Summon bone minion was useful, but did you understand why you were able to immobilize the bone minion?
Not really. I guess you just put them there and wait for someone to walk over it.
See, it says it's supposed to immobilize foes, but I don't ever think I saw it do that when it attacked people. Maybe that's a bug. Maybe it just didn't last long enough for me to notice.
Could be.
But yeah, I mean, as far as the minions go, I didn't find them to be too useful. But then again, from what I hear, Minion Master in Guild Wars 2 is a little bit more hard to do than it is in Guild Wars 1. So, any other thoughts on that, Shriggs?
No, I think we covered that base pretty well.
Cool. Let's go into just kind of our overall thought on the class. Why don't you take this one first?
I thought it was pretty interesting. Like, the way I went about it was I spec'd into heavy melee damage and went dual daggers and axe horn or staff.
Right.
Because with axe horn, I can apply conditions and give myself a speed boost to catch enemies, and then switch into daggers and just lay into them. Because daggers was actually pretty damaging, plus it added more conditions to the target.
Yes, it was. As many of our listeners know, I enjoy melee characters a whole hell of a lot, so I was really kind of excited to try the Dagger Necromancer build, and I quite enjoyed it. I enjoyed that you had a lot of really 1 versus 1 kind of capabilities. One of my favorite dagger abilities that they gave us was where is it? Where is it? Let me find it here. Was Death Pact, where it would just immobilize your foe, and one of the combos I would use would be Spectral Grasp, and you would cast it, pull the foe, and then about halfway through the animation, you would start casting your cripple ability, and that would instantly cripple them right in front of you, and then you would either switch to staff and lay down a bunch of stuff, or keep putting pressure on them with the daggers. So I would definitely agree with the dagger build is very, very unique too. I mean, coming from a thief, mainly thief player, it was really different and really kind of difficult for me to really trait spec the Necromancer. Let's kind of go over that a little.
Even for me, it was strange because it was the concept of a caster using melee dagger weapons.
Yeah, it was kind of like a undead battle mage, if you were.
Yeah, and like with the Elementalist with the daggers, he's still casting ranged spells with them. But with the Necromancers, you're right up in their face, attacking their back.
Yeah, one thing about Elementalist daggers, if you go with the lightning build, you just completely melt face. It is ridiculous, but we'll cover that in a later episode. But yeah, definitely the dagger build was more kind of in your face, quite literally. A lot of it was you either execute all your abilities correctly or you're severely punished. Did you notice that at all?
Yes, I did.
There were a couple times where,
particularly against engineers, because they have such great power.
I wasn't the only one.
Engineers.
Yes, the engineers were just screwing me over. I was like, what the crap? There was this one Necromancer I kept facing, and same guy, and he just was just like everywhere. He was pistol actually. Have you tried that, Shriggs? I know you play mainly playing an engineer.
Pistol engineer is the burn weapon.
No kidding. He would just drop me, and mine I had almost 30,000 HP.
Hmm.
So like he would just drop me constantly. It
Yeah, but
start,
with rifle engineers, that's actually kind of worse because they have net, a
hmm.
jump, and a attack that basically blasts you and him away from each other. So
Yeah.
they have incredible, incredible positioning control, where it's hard to get in and lay in your attacks with your daggers.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that the engineer is definitely kind of the bane of classes that don't really have a lot of gap closers to begin with. Like
Hmm.
I started saving my spectral grasp for the engineers specifically because warriors and rogues. Wow, whew, warriors and thieves would just kind of attack you anyway because they're melee range, so you wouldn't have to worry about it. But I would really try and save my death grip, if you will, for engineers, and they would just have so many knockbacks and just kind of, hey, I'm still over here, you missed. And I'm just like, well, crap, I can't get close to you at all. Um, so yeah, the dagger was pretty special. Axe was interesting.
Hmm.
I'm I'm still kind of on the fence about that. The ghastly claws did a lot of damage. It did about what I was hitting for about 1.8k non-crit and about 2.5 critting once the spell is complete. What were you hitting for around those numbers?
Yeah, it was pretty heavy
I
damage.
mean, it was really heavy damage, but I feel that axes are more based on your, I can't think of it, Death Shroud ability, which is
Yeah.
another thing we'll get into just a little bit here. But I found that certain traits and certain weapons really kind of focused around that Death Shroud mechanic that they have, which
Hmm.
is really interesting because I definitely did not use it properly. I can already tell you just from watching my videos again that I was just like, I'm probably not using this correctly yet. Um,
Yeah.
it,
That's why you need heavy damage. It
hmm,
does heavy damage plus it gives you a second bar of health.
yeah. Well, does it or does it actually use the health that you? Yeah, no.
No,
Turns life force into health.
no. Well, yeah, it turns life forth. It's like an additional health bar.
I thought so, but there were a lot of times where I was just like, well, I feel like I was lower health than when I started.
Maybe,
Let's
but
see.
I didn't see that as much as you.
See, it is fueled by life force and can be entered at a time. The longer there's life force upon leaving. Okay, so it doesn't say that you lose health while in life force. So I guess it doesn't. Maybe I used it when I was too low of a health. Maybe I should, if I'm, let's actually talk about Death Shroud. Um, yeah. What was your favorite ability in there?
Um, the main attack, just laying into people with it.
Yeah,
But I just liked how I could open with it, go in strong, and then come out with full health, and they'd be at half health, and I could just finish them off with daggers.
yeah. The way Life Blast works is it does 170 minimum and 341 quote unquote maximum damage. Deals more damage the more life force you have. So if you enter it when you have full life force, then you're gonna do quite a lot of damage. Uh, but just kind of getting back to the axe spec, the the axe spec actually fills your life force. Wow, life force quite quickly with ghastly claws, like really quickly, especially if you're traded into it. So I found that to be useful, and as Shriggs pointed out, I definitely was using life shroud completely or death shroud and completely wrong. I would actually save it when I was near death and try to finish off people. So you're saying you had a better time with it when you did it when you were still full health.
Yes, I build it up, and then I release it whenever I need to engage someone solo.
Okay, so it was kind of like they had to kill you twice type of thing.
Hmm.
Okay, that's fair. Um, my favorite was life transfer. You were able to almost get your entire life force bar back up if there was like 2 or 3 people around you. It's a channeled ability, so engineers were still the bane of my existence. They were able to knock me back and stop me from channeling it. That was really annoying. But Doom was fun to just kind of play with fear. I fear, no pun intended. I fear it didn't really last very long. That definitely could have been like 1 second is like okay, maybe 2 seconds would be a little bit better in my opinion. I don't know. Dark Path is pretty cool because it teleports you to that foe and then chills nearby enemies, so that's cool. Anyway, the staff. I personally really enjoyed the staff. What about you?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, defensively on a point, the staff is king.
Yeah, because there's so many marks that they have.
Mm. And there's a certain ability. I forget what it is. I think it's with the daggers. You unleash it, and it does extra amounts of damage, depending on how many conditions they have. I completely forgot what the ability is called or how to use it, but that's how it works.
I'm looking at see. We have Life Siphon, Death Pact, Deadly Swarm. Not that one. It might be. I don't know. We're very organized here with the FireSide, as you guys can tell. No, I don't see any of those abilities.
Mm.
Could it be a trait?
It could be.
Could be a trait. Okay, but yeah, the staff, like Shriggs said, is really good at defending a point because you have so many marks, especially Reaper's mark that can literally fear an entire team of 5 if they all step on it at once or close to it, which is really useful. One of my favorite ones to do in a group fight is the Protrude mark, which transfers all conditions from allies to foes when triggered by a foe. So if they're like really just kind of all over the place and everyone's kind of in a little big cluster, you put that down and boom, all the enemies have pretty much double the conditions that they would otherwise have. The chill was interesting. It also poisons foes, which is pretty. So you actually get a skill, an ability kind of de-haste, and a poison, which is really nice too. Mark of Blood is also really useful too because it bleeds your foes and it also does the whole regeneration thing to allies, which includes you, which is really nice as well. It also, your staff looks like a scythe, which I think is pretty sweet. I didn't do too much. I didn't do Scepter or Warhorn or Focus at all. Did you?
Warhorn.
What was that like?
It was actually very nice because you get a speed buff,
Mm-hmm.
a damage buff, and some poison conditions.
Okay. Yeah, the Locust Swarm and the Wall of Doom. The Wall of Doom, I messed around with it in the Mist area. I didn't find it all that useful. Like, I'm still kind of on the fence if Daze is like an actual, good effect. It interrupts and prevents a target from using skills for a period of time, which would be useful. But the Wall of Doom is only useful if you're using a ranged weapon, and you can only use the Warhorn if you're using like a Scepter or an axe or a dagger. And the Scepter Warhorn, I guess, would be probably your best bet.
Mm-hmm.
Did you find the dazing useful as a Necromancer at all?
Let's see. Not particularly. There aren't very many shelling spells that are terribly long enough to get the days off on.
Right. The only thing I can really think of it is
with practice it'd be very useful, but
yeah. I mean, I'm sure with super practice you can get a lot of good people with it. But the cripple and then the swiftness that you would get is pretty much a wonderful escape mechanism. I did definitely use that a couple times in testing, which it's cool because you blow the horn, you gain swiftness, and you gain these locusts around you, and then you run around and you can actually cripple the entire team, which is really useful. Especially if you're using a ranged. But just kind of touch on the Scepter a little bit. reading it, it looks like it does a lot of condition damage. First two main attacks are bleed your foe, and then the third auto attack combo would be the poison. So you get two bleeds and a poison, and if you stack that continuously, they're going to take a lot of damage. We get a summoning spell to cripple foes in a targeted area, so this looks like to be a really, really good kite build along with the Warhorn or the Focus. That might actually work really well too. Feast of Corruption. That's what you're talking about, the Scepter. Feast of Corruption. It deals additional damage, draining life force for each condition on them. So it does damage while giving you life force for each type of condition. So the Scepter looks to be more of a heavy, kite and condition damage spec. So that's cool. Okay, moving on. Let's go over... I want to go over a little bit real quick about the healing spells, because I feel the healing spells were kind of interesting. Consume I found very hard to get used to.
The ability where you eat your floating minion?
No. That's just the summon blood fiend.
Oh.
Consume conditions is a heal spec.
Oh, right, that thing.
I found that it was actually pretty useful, because I would use some of the corruption abilities to poison myself, weaken myself, and that kind of stuff. And then if I needed to, I could either consume them or use one of the signets that they have to place all my conditions on the enemy, which I found really useful. But consume conditions I found to be probably one of the better heals. You said you really enjoyed Well of Blood. I didn't find it all that useful, but why did you enjoy it?
Well, the initial heal was about a third of your health, plus it puts down the actual circle. So in the middle of a fight, you're constantly regenerating health, plus you can get it to other members. I see it as like the Engineer Alchemy ability, where you can put down a healing circle. Kind of like that, but it's just your main heal. And I really enjoy that.
Right. Yeah, the health per second sounds really good, but I kept just running into the problems where they would just out-damage the Well of Blood. Which I'm guessing it's more used is in a staff build. I was trying it in the dagger build because I was thinking I'm a melee, so I wanted to keep them in my little circle. But 9 times out of 10 they would just run out of it. So that kind of put a hindrance in my plans. Anything else? I thought you were going to say something else.
No.
Okay. All right, cool. Awkward silence is awkward. All right, so moving on. Let's kind of go over some specs that we tried just a little bit here. Shriggs, what ones did you try mainly? Like, I mean, there's not like, any set specs right now since the game's still in beta, and there's really no like, hey, everyone should do this build. But what did you find trait-wise? Like, what did you spec into for your traits mostly?
Traits, I was mainly spec'd into the ones that would buff daggers and axes, because those are the two weapons I found myself doing the most damage with.
Okay. Of course, the traits on Guild Wars Wiki is not working. Darn it. Alright, let me pull up my... Where are you? I know it's here somewhere. Well, keep talking while I find this website.
Yeah.
No pressure.
When I was going for traits, I would generally choose I believe I put points into the things that would increase dagger damage, increase longevity of, what is it? Complete brain fart. Your shadow form, your X damage, and condition damage and condition longevity, just general stuff like that.
Okay. So... you mainly focused on the melee portion and a lot of just kind of the overall oomph of stuff? Okay. Whoops. Really? Did I just did that, didn't I? I did.
You closed the page, didn't you?
No, I selected Elementalist instead of Necromancer. Yep. Okay, so we have Spite, Curses, Death Magic, Blood Magic, and Soul Reaping.
Yeah, Soul Reaping and Blood Magic seem like things I put points into.
Yeah, they were actually pretty. Soul Reaping was more for the Death Shroud,
Mm-hmm.
which I found that I used. Again, I definitely was not using it right, so that kind of sucks. So I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't using the Necromancer, completely right. But yeah, Soul Reaping definitely kind of does the whole life force because the passive ones you have life force fills faster, and some of the runes were really nice. Death Shroud recharge is reduced by 33%, which is huge. Um, let's see. What other good ones do we have here? Life Blast. Life Blast pierces. That's also really another good one. But as far as the dagger stuff goes, that wasn't that was death magic or blood magic and spite, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's actually take a look at those real quick. Spite was really nice because it gave you an extra 30% chance in condition or 30% damage increase in condition duration, which is huge. It mainly allows your stuff to last longer. Extra 300 weapon damage, which is really nice, or 300 power, excuse me. And a lot of the runes were just really nice. Axe damage increase, which is really helpful. Gain retaliation, which is like a bounce back when you heal. That's also really useful. Looking at blood magic, we have Wells also siphon life, which I tried and I didn't feel really kind of. Did you try that? It's Vampiric Rituals. It's the very last rune. I'm not sure if you ever tried that one. I found that it didn't work very well.
Yeah, I didn't bother with it.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think I thought that ability didn't heal me as much, maybe because I was going solo too much.
Right.
In a group environment, it probably would have healed me more, but one versus one, it was very good.
Yeah. Now, Dagger Mastery, which is actually the first rune you can get, I found to be really nice because extra 15% faster recharge in dagger skills is really nice.
Yeah, that's what I took.
Also, you can move faster while wielding a dagger. That's also really nice. But another thing, though, is curses and death magic were very interesting. I feel that maybe the build I was going for probably could have benefited from those a little bit more. Some of the runes that we have in the traits are pretty useful. Whenever a minion dies, it explodes in a cloud of poison. That's obviously for a minion master, which is really useful. I did use that a little bit for a while and just kind of switch back and forth there. Let's see what else we have here. Staff skills recharge 15% faster. That's in death magic as well. That's very useful. Marks are unblockable. Now, I did not know what that meant until I realized that probably means that as we're channeling them, they can't be like interrupted
Mm-hmm.
or blocked or negated from like a shield or something. So I'm guessing that means that the wells of blood and that kind of stuff is not going to be affected by, like, say, a guardian shield or some type of boon that protects you from X condition, which could be really useful, especially as a staff necromancer. Losing all conditions when you enter Death Shroud, that's hugely important. So I mean, yeah, there's a lot like that kind of stuff in death magic. Curses, I thought, were pretty interesting as well. I didn't use them as much as I would have probably liked. One thing I did not understand, Shriggs, I'm not sure if you'd help me out with this, but it says, wells become ground targeted. What the hell does that mean?
I didn't use that, but
it's,
I have a theory.
yes.
And I may be completely wrong. People already know this, probably, definitely. But I'm thinking you put down your well, then people click it to get the heal. And it stays there until all the heals are gone.
Maybe. But
Oh, no, wait. No, it means you can place them anywhere in the map. Like, away from you. You can choose a spot. Like how you can choose spots for AoE effects.
well, yeah, you could do that beforehand, couldn't you?
Yeah, what? With the wells? No, I thought they go right under you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I actually didn't know that. That shows you how much I played a staff Necromancer. Well,
Oh wait,
okay.
staff. No, yeah, you choose those anyway. Okay, the ground targeted.
Okay, that makes more sense. I was like, wait, what the heck does that mean?
We didn't choose this. We don't know what it's supposed to do. We're theorizing something that already exists.
Yeah, exactly. So, trait-wise is definitely the Necromancer. I think is probably a little bit more complicated class to spec because you have a lot of kind of.
There's quite a bit to it.
Yeah, there is quite a bit to it. There really is. So, anyway, moving on. How did you feel that it stacked up to other classes? Again, guys, keep in mind that we only had about 4 hours or so to really kind of test everything. So it's not like we're complete masters at this class. We're just kind of giving our first impressions, if you will. So.
Yeah, I honestly had no problems fighting the other classes. Of course, there's the Guardian, Warrior, all that, Rogue, or Thief, that stuff. That's still kind of a little powerful against the Clothy Squishy.
Well, I actually found those classes pretty easy to deal with because I had 30,000 HP. So.
Sword Guardian?
I actually wrecked face with Guardians. I really did because I had so many conditions and stuff on him at once. He kept trying to use his abilities to decurse himself instead of actually deal damage to me.
Well, you know what? Rangers were actually kind of troublesome because I couldn't really close the gap with them.
Yeah, Rangers were kind of a pain in the butt. As I think the only real classes that I really had trouble with is definitely Rangers. I'll agree with that, and Engineers just completely wrecked my face. The good ones. Let me kind of point that out. The good Engineers wrecked my face. The ones that yeah, you. The ones that had no idea what they were doing, I was just like, wow, you suck. But
yeah, I actually ran into a shield engineer.
how'd that go for him?
Not well.
Shield engineers are great for defending points if you have teammates with you, but they don't do any damage whatsoever.
No.
So, yeah.
No damage.
That's okay. So, just to kind of close here, I don't want to make this episode super long, but just kind of final thoughts here. The Necromancer is definitely a high damage based condition class. Lots of just kind of ways to really confuse the crap out of your enemy. You can take the conditions that he puts on you back at him. You can use them to heal. You can all of a sudden awaken yourself, and he's like, oh, I have a chance, and all of a sudden they're not there, they're on him. You can use your minions to just cause a lot of battlefield havoc, which is really, really nice. There are just a lot of weapon customizations that you can do, and weapon swapping is definitely going to be one of those key factors, I think, with this class especially. It's just being able to actually wield two different weapon sets, I think, makes the class a lot more versatile than I think people realize. There's not going to be, well, it's a Necromancer, so obviously it has to be a ranged class. No, like it can be a very, very effective dagger Necromancer, axe Necromancer, or even a scepter, which is kind of the short range type of class, which I find very, very interesting as well. Shriggs, what's your closing thoughts on the Necromancer so far?
It's definitely a class I'm going to look more into when the game launches, because this thing is just... There's so many nooks and crannies to look into this class with how many skills you can get, how the weapons work with each other. The big thing about this is finding all the different kinds of weapon combinations for this class.
Right.
Like, every weapon can play off itself or each other.
Yeah,
and knowing when to switch and when to switch out is just a really big factor.
No, I would definitely 100% agree with that. It was actually kind of enjoyable to see another class, having...
I did have fun with it, a lot of it.
Yeah, kind of having the same versatility as like a Thief would or something. So, alright guys, thanks for listening to another episode of FireSide Chat. We will be getting Travis and Nick on here eventually, but they are busy with stuff, and this is the second time we record this at like, 2, 3 a.m.
Yay.
So, because Shriggs is up for some reason, and I work semi-thirds, kind of second shift-ish. So, alright, no one cares about that, but thanks again for listening. Please follow us on Twitter at Azura Portal. Thank you.
Asura Portal.
Asura Portal. check out AsuraPortal.com. That is currently under construction, but make sure to bookmark it. That's going to be a very good source of Guild Wars 2 information, PvP strategies, and just kind of overall Guild Wars stuff, which we're really looking forward to showing and sharing with you guys. Also, check out the Searing podcast. It airs live every Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, and you can just check out the the searing.com. And I've been Baz and Shriggs. You have been wonderful as always. God bless. Take care.